Greetings, my fellow freedom-loving sovereign thinkers. This is LL3's News Podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful swampy mango of South Florida, and today's date is Saturday, July 28, 2018. Yes, it's hot, sunny, in the heart of downtown Fort Lauderdale, and that's how it goes. Many people are just chilling inside, which is okay, and a lot of folks are in the shade. I can't blame them. If you want to get some sun, hit the beach, but whatever you do, go into the ocean. And no alcohol at this time. Health issue, safety issue to be exact. And so now I'm just kicking back and just doing my own little thing once again. Had to relax over a podcast for a while, but I did a little homework here and there. And a lot of stuff is, typical news, Trumpsity and Rothstein. There are people want to impeach Rothstein, and it looks like Ryan and Congressman, Speaker of the House Ryan and Jeff Sessions said, no, we can't do that. Remember, they're all bent over bobs as usual. So, to possible window dressing as well. I say that allegedly and in good faith. Well, I'm going to be mainly discussing some topics here, which people should really know about. And this one here first came from Activist Post, actually from the Free Thought Project. And this is by Rachel Belvin. It says here, in just the last 2 weeks, dozens of children in Iowa have vanished. And it's amazing, right? Let's see what I had to say about this. A young University of Iowa student made headlines recently after she disappeared during the evening jog, but she is just one of the dozen people who have been reported missing in Iowa in the last 10 days, the overwhelming majority of the disappearances of children. Molly Tibbetts, 20-year-old, has become the latest face of the missing person database this week after she was last seen going to jog near her boyfriend's house on the evening of July 18th, and she seemingly vanished. Dozens of people have pitched in to help search for the college student, as she appeared to have no motive to flee, and her closest friends and family members have cooperated with police. It raises troubling questions about whether she was abducted. However, Tibbetts is not alone. According to the Missing Persons database published by the Iowa Department of Public Safety, 48 people have gone missing in the last 2 weeks, and 34 of those people are children. On the same day that Tibbetts disappeared, 2 minors were also reported missing in Iowa. Mackenzie Lip, 16, David Harn, 16. In the next 2 days, another 8 children were reported missing. Mackenzie York at 15, McCallie Vanderpool at 15, Nazario Campbell at 13, Joshua Wallace 17, Nia Howe 15, Madeline Francis 15, Josiah Armstrong 14, and Yarista Arita 15. Thomas Bishop 16 was reported missing on July 22nd, and Isabel Buckman 14, and Yvette Avelia 17 on July 23rd. The numbers then increased again by July 24th, when 5 children reported missing: Summer Williams 17, Asa Starr 14, Belinda Jane 15, Alberta Harlan 16, and Madeline Guerra Albatado 15. Tyrone Woolery 16, Serenity Wyman 13, and Imogen Champagne 17 were all reported missing on July 24th. 6 people were reported missing in Iowa on July 26th. All of them were minors. Dan DeHanzy Phillips 16, Anna Morezik 17, Eric Magnuson 14, and McKenna Driver 15. Each one of these children has families and friends who are heartbroken by their disappearance and who are actively looking for them. And unfortunately, there are just a few of the approximately 2,000 children who are reported missing every single day in the United States, more than 100 of which were cases of stranger abduction. The National Crime Information Center reported that as of December 31st, 2017, there were 88,089 active missing persons around the United States, in the records in the United States. More than 36% of those cases, or 32,127, were under the age of 18. More than 46%, or 41,089, were under the age of 21. As the Free Thought Project reported last month, disturbing statistics from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children revealed that more than 27,000 were reported missing in 2017. Nearly 25,000 of those children were labeled as endangered runaways. and 1 in 7 were likely victims of child sex trafficking. Of those, 80% were in care of social services when they were missing. The overwhelming number of missing children made headlines in March 2017 when more than 500 children were reported missing in Washington, D.C., and a police commander who was asked about what the children in the area should do avoid and become a victim of child trafficking responded, "Stay home, it's simple as that." When a child goes missing, there are numbers of fears that run through a parent's mind, and they often fear the worst when has happened to their loved ones. While individual cases such as disappearance of Molly Tibbetts do receive some national attention, the overwhelming majority are swept under the rug and forgotten. It raises the question, what kind of difference could the media make if it started focusing on less on Stormy Daniels and Russia hysteria, and more on the innocent children who go missing every day in the United States? Absolutely correct. I'm tired of the mainstream media going on a Russian hysteria, Trump anxiety, all this garbage. This is more important than these pathetic issues that they want to shove down our throats. That's what really gets my goat, my friends. About the whole thing, Trump this, Trump that. If he farts, someone's going to have a cow. If he tweets, someone's going to get their eyes will pop up. Who the hell cares? I don't give a damn about that at all. I know there's times I do talk about missing children and human trafficking at times. Yes, I do admit that. I do talk about it at times. This is more important than those other garbage you see on TV. And all these other people follow it and want to post their garbage on Facebook. Stop being a bunch of her conformists. Plain and simple. Think for yourself, for goodness sakes. This is more essential because it can happen to any of our children, even our enemies' kids. I don't want to see anything happen to any of these people. That's one thing people got to focus on. And that's why, like Donald Trump or not, he did an executive order. I try to focus on more on human trafficking. The United States had a big high case. Florida was ranked number 3 out of the United States, and Broward County is number 1 on cases of human trafficking. Perfect. You got Palm Beach up north, and you got Davis County on the south. So you got Broward County right in the center. Those are the areas we need to focus on more. No ends, ifs, or buts. Why is that? Why is that? Because one day, if we ignore it, it can happen to people we love dearly. And what's going to occur? We're the ones to be complaining the most. Do something about it. Be more productive. Who cares about this her conform bandwagon on President Trump? Hey, you're talking to a guy who doesn't even worship the man. Yeah, I'm critical, I have merit, but I'm going to beat my head into a wall, post on Facebook on Trump this, Trump that, Trump this. Give me a break. I like to always thank the Rachel Belvins and the Free Thought Project for putting this out there. It's really disturbing. It's happening everywhere, my friends. It should be our main priority. Focus on that. Instead of all little pettiness, her conform propaganda everyone's manifesting over. Alright. This one's very hilarious too. Interesting. Came out of Freedom Outpost. Tens of thousands of conservatives leave Facebook and Twitter. Stock prices plummet. It's by Dean Garrison. It appears that the mass exodus from Facebook and Twitter is hitting both companies where it hurts. On Friday, Twitter closed at $34.12 to a drop whooping 20.56% below Thursday close. The Wall Street Journal reported Twitter Inc. said its numbers of monthly users dropped in the second quarter and should continue to fall as social media company purges fake accounts. Someone's getting paid a lot of money to put that spin on the situation. Do you really believe that decreased activity on Twitter is due to the fact that they are purging those that were not active in the first place? It surely couldn't have anything to do with the constant censorship of conservatives. It's surely just a coincidence. On Thursday, Facebook stock dropped 19% on news of slow user growth and lower than expected earnings, MarketWatch reports. On Thursday, Facebook lost about $120 billion in market capitalization after its earnings report, after the market closed on Wednesday, missed the expectations on revenues and showed slowing user growth. Weak guidance also rattled investors. The stock closed down 19% Thursday to $176.26, which means that the investors increased in the entirety of the company's 2018 gains. Its market capitalization as of Wednesday, $630 billion by the end trading Thursday, was worth $510 billion after the close, and 170 million shares had changed hands. Facebook Thursday was the ugliest single-season decline since the company went public in 2012. Coincidentally or not, Twitter drop was one of the largest single-pay percentage loss since 2014. Company executives and public relations specialists have a job. Their job is to paint a rosy picture and make investors think that any stock drop is just a temporary hiccup. Do you buy that? I don't. When these companies began pushing only the establishment left-wing mainstream media account of the news, droves of people who think for themselves began to leave or simply spend less time on these sites. This includes conservatives, certainly, but also includes anyone who challenges the mainstream lies that are being forced upon the masses. You can't simply alienate the majority of your customers' base and expect to remain a viable and growing business. These companies will either stop pushing away users with their political agenda, or they will die a slow death. What are we witnessing is the beginning of the fall of both Twitter and Facebook. Will something better come along to take place? Sure, it's called truth. This originally came from Dean Garrison. And to be very frank, there's other websites out there, social media sites out there, are more free speech friendly. Like I talk about oneway.com, buddylist.co, minds.com, freedomsnetworks.com, gab.ai. Gab is more of a free speech version of Twitter. So there's a lot. So good thing about it, a lot of these other social media sites are actually taking advantage of this opportunity. If you're gonna have a couple of networks trying to censor people, they're gonna go other places, and I know that for a fact. I've seen people tell me that all the time, and that's why, to me, when people talk about maybe about Facebook and Twitter, look, they need us when we need them. That's my attitude. Because without us, they're nothing, and this just proves it right here. This report shows it right there. You're going to play a little game. If you're going to censor free speech on one particular group, it affects us all. I know you guys are corporations. That's understandable. But when people use your sites, it creates revenue, get people interested in joining and getting more involved. But what happened? Things start to plummet. You want to play a little game? You think you can do whatever you want? And we should all kiss your rear ends? Forget about it. Without us, you're nothing. That's Facebook and Twitter and Google Plus, etc. These big main social media sites. And I say that in good faith. And you know what? That's how it goes. Supply and demand. That's the name of the game, my friends. And you know what? Those folks that fight for what's right, that's how you get them, where it hurts. You need to go to the government, Congress, or FCC. That's totally ridiculous. Supply and demand. You want to use it? Use it, great. If not, don't. That's how I see it. That's why I have other multiple sites as well, which I enjoy using too. So, because you never know, they may shut me down one day. I don't know that. It's possible. But that's why I got other sites. You can reach me in those areas as well. All right. So next thing here came from the Geller report. Came out today by Pamela Geller. It says here, SPLC, which is the Southern Poverty Law Center, finally admits Orlando Jihadi Omar Mateen wasn't a right-wing terrorist. Of course, he was a Manchurian candidate, idiots. I'll continue on here. Here is yet more indications that SPLC can't be trusted, despite the media's insistence that can. The SPLC has removed Mateen from his right-wing terrorist, but why he was on it in the first place? The Orlando massacre was a jihad in the cause of Islam. Oh, and Omar Mateen was a Democrat. Well, like I said, he's still a Manchurian candidate. Yeah, I say that in good faith. I'll continue on here. Whereas more say the wildly malevolent revisionism in the cause of Islamic apologism on that fringe radical group to such as the SPLC is used by the enemy media as some legitimate authority on such matters. Stunning, really. Orlando Jihad, Omar Mateen, the name of Allah, the merciful, the beneficial in Arabic, praise Allah and the prayers as well be peace upon the Prophet of Allah. Among the other Islamic declarations in the 911 phone call transcripts, Mateen called dispatchers about 20 minutes into the attack, pledging allegiance to ISIS and extolling the Boston Marathon Jihad bombers. That the hate monger, the SPLC, will classify this as a right-wing terror, was as absurd as calling Nazism Jew terror. Well, you could ask, what's his name, Jorge Soros on that one. SPLC finally admits Orlando shooter Omar Mateen was a right-wing terrorist by Tyler O'Neill, PJ Media, on July 18, 2018. On Wednesday, PJ Media discovered that the Southern Poverty Law Center, a notorious left-wing smear organization, has silently removed Omar Mateen, the radical Islamic terror responsible for the deadliest Islamic terror attack since September 11, 2001, from its first reporting documenting terror from the right. His name just disappeared. Mateen, a 29-year-old security guard, declared allegiance to the Islamic State and entered Pulse, a gay nightclub in Orlando, Florida, on June 12, 2016. He killed 49 people and 153 dying in a shootout with police. So why did the ISIS terrorists end up on the SPLC list of radical terrorist plots, conspiracies, and racist rampages? The SPLC's synopsis of Mateen's terrorist text suggests an answer. Mateen called 911 during the attack to pledge allegiance to ISIS and mentioned the Boston Marathon bombers. He also demanded that U.S. bombing of Syria and Iraq stop. His father initially told NBC News that the son expressed outrage when he saw two men kissing in Miami. Others described Mateen as a violent, deeply conflicted man who had beaten his former wife and often frequent gay bars. The FBI interviewed Mateen in 2013 and 2014, but reportedly found no evidence that he was tied to terrorism. The SPLC said Mateen was right-wing because he expressed outrage when he saw two men kissing in Miami. As for the suggestion that Mateen was secretly homosexual himself, the FBI said they found no evidence to corroborate this. While the SPLC constantly harps against anti-LGBT hate groups on the right, Mateen's animus against gay people does not on its own justify listing the ISIS supporter as right-wing. His father actually attended a Hillary Clinton rally in 2016. Mateen was not only the figure removed from the list. Laquin Amin Abdullah, a Michigan Amman killed by the FBI in the 2009 shootout, also appeared on the list. While Mateen targeted LGBT people, Abdullah merely shot at FBI agents who were attempting to arrest him. There was no indication why the SPLC included Abdullah on the list. The Orlando shooter did not support Republicans or conservative principles, and neither did Abdullah, Long, or Johnson. That's interesting there, because the truth of the matter is, like I've been telling people for a long time, he is just a Manchurian candidate. So he said he dedicates himself to ISIS, and many of us know that ISIS is CIA New World Order funded. Look at some of the flags that's on there that had the golden ridges. It's self-explanatory if you really know about maritime law. So the truth of the matter is, when they say he dedicates himself to ISIS and all that, and they say he's a Muslim, but you know what? He was in the army, and it was funny because when the security guy for G4S up in Orlando, there was proof too in the Orlando Sentinel. I think it was September 9th or 10th, that G4S did prove they rubber stamped his name, because the evaluator, the psychologist that was in that particular office stopped working for him like a year and a half before this occurred. So a lot of got rubber stamped, and of course the G4S called up the Department of Agriculture because weapons permits, and they evaluate. Of course, there was 1,554 evaluations with that rubber stamp. So they got what was I gonna say? They got $100 per offense. So that's that area you can look at as well. But the whole thing is, he was in the military and all that. And when I hear about it, he made his pledge to ISIS. Anyone that made a pledge to ISIS or Al Qaeda, just say Manchurian Candidate. Okay, that's why people got to look at this real deep. I know Galler didn't really want to put this in there, but in good faith, a lot of us here, including myself, I examine these areas as well. And I'm not going to knock this person's report as a whole, but it's good that the Southern Poverty Law Center had to take that off, and it proves one thing: the Southern Poverty Law Center has been discredited once again. So that's why I'm laughing about this article, because he's not a right-wing terrorist anymore. Please stop using these stupid-ass names. That's what's funny about these organizations. That's how they make their money. They want to use division. So that area, I can agree with Ms. Galler on this. But call it saying Islamic terrorist attack 9/11. Hey, I call it New World Order till this day since September 14, 2001. Those individuals, they're just pawns of the game. It goes a lot bigger than what it is. And even in my past episodes, when I had this up, when I talked about this a couple years ago, about the Orlando shooting, I said it was a New World Order agenda as well. So, hey, like I said, one good thing about it, the SPLC had to, repent, take it off the list, because they were a bunch of fools anyway. All right, next one here from the Washington Standard. And it says here, Politifact provides pants on fire cover for Obama's first sitting American president to come from Kenya comment. This is by Tim Brown. Came out yesterday. Politifact is much like Snopes, often providing cover for people that they align with politically. They will often present certain information and neglect other information on a particular item they are writing about. And that is true, like I said that firsthand. I'm reading the latest response to Barack Hussein Obama's Satero Silbercross claim that he's the first sitting American president to come from Kenya by Politifact Pants on Fire. Politifact took on the story, and I wrote on earlier this week, involving Obama's recent trip to Kenya and his statement, which he said he was the first sitting American president to come from Kenya. Of course, he didn't reference my work, but that of SupremeInsider.com. According to Politifact, Barack Obama was born in Honolulu, Hawaii on August 4th, 1961. To Barack Obama Sr., who is Kenyan, and Aunt Dunham of Kansas. Oh, defense mechanism, right? Absolutely. Not only the thing they have to establish as a known liar's world and document fraudulent documents that Obama has provided, basically they have no evidence of anything they stated except that. Would that pass the scrutiny in the court of law? No. That's why courts have never taken the case concerning Obama's eligibility. Politifact continues. The clip from the grand opening of the Senate of the Gallegos shows him saying, 3 years ago, I visited Kenya as the first sitting American president to come from Kenya. He's talking about a July 2015 trip to Kenya and Ethiopia for the annual Global Entrepreneurship Summit. Obama did use those words. Check 550, the minute in the part of this video. And if I'm correct, that is from, let's see if the same video I posted on yesterday, on my last episode. I believe I did that, right? If I'm correct, it should be from the SABC Kenyan Citizen TV. Okay. There's matter on that too. 550, and you know what? He's absolutely correct. I posted on that yesterday, so the video does have merit. So definitely, check it out to make your own judgment, because it is essential to know these. Okay, and I'll continue on here, but it doesn't support the impression the article gives, which is a birther claim, which should be reinvestigated because Obama admitted he comes from Kenya. The article frames his comment as a slip. Penile microphone. Okay, put a quack. The article takes his statement of being from somewhere to mean he literally grew up there. Obama has denied being born outside the United States on several occasions. And what's funny about that, if you watch the video, he's reading from his notes, okay? He has actual notes on that. And he didn't read from a teleprompter. Give me a break. Well, Obama denied he was coming after Americans' guns too, but he did aim for immediately after Sandy Hook. Obama said you can keep your doctor and your insurance plan under Obamacare. But what actually happened? Politifact? While Politifact claimed that they debunked the Kenyan birth certificate put out by Obama's brother, Malik Obama, it was never has demonstrated the authenticity of birth certificate that Obama posed on the White House website, which has now been removed under the current administration. Politifact has never addressed the Kenyan parliament, on which several occasions has referenced that Obama is a native Kenyan, a son of Kenyan soil. In fact, Politifact didn't rate the article that they were writing about as pants on fire, but mostly false. Politifact has never demonstrated that Obama was either born in the States or born to Barack Obama Sr. for that matter. Politifact has never been able to conclusively refute the forensic evidence that the birth certificate site is a fraudulent document. They have not addressed why Kenyans welcome Obama home when he visited there. There are numerous things I could list here that is neither they nor the mainstream media will actually investigate as put forth to the public. While Politifact claims that the article is mostly false, and when attempts to say what Obama meant was that his heritage is from Kenya, they openly acknowledge we reached out to Obama's advisor Eric Schultz for a comment and he received no response. So let's be honest. Politifact is speculating at this point, not providing fact. I gave their little cover on Pants on Fire because it was presenting itself as though it is refuting the claim of the author with facts, which is merely parroting what has been told, not a single shred of evidence. And he's absolutely correct. The whole thing is Politifact. It should be called Politiquack. Politiquacks. Oh, they're a bunch of pathetic charlatans trying to cover up something that doesn't exist. Your bizarro realm is irrelevant. It's the attributes of used toilet paper and beyond. Politifact. So I can tell you this, because that's from Kenya TV, and the timing, all that is has merit, because I even looked at it at the South African Broadcasting Corporation, SABC, with that 15-minute, 32-second video of Barack Obama made that in the 550 mark, stating that he was the first city president from Kenya, and people applaud it. Don't get defensive. Okay, as far as I'm concerned, you should be with that information, with that fact. Okay, so he was the first city president from Kenya, and you want to defend him? You guys should be you are considered conspirators to espionage. That's right. Prove me wrong, you bunch of douchebags. Sometimes I just get a little bit insulted. When people think they're smarter than everybody else, right in front of your eyes, and you're reading it, and they try to give you some half-assed defense mechanism. It's not working anymore. That's why Politifact is another weak, pathetic site that want to feed us with this Orwellian garbage. I recommend everyone start thinking for yourselves. I know many of my listeners do that. And I say that in good faith. Barack Obama is nothing more than a bend-over Bob to the New World Order. And I've been saying that for a very long time. I never bought his hype and hoopla, and I was never impressed with his track record as a U.S. Senator. I don't give a damn the person's a white Anglo-Saxon, regardless of his party, heritage, etc., or sexual orientation. Doesn't matter. The man's an unethical buffoon. Just like his predecessor, George W. Bush. It's good. Right there. I'm not being partisan biased. Yeah, so, All right. Well, I want to chill a little bit. Be right back. So stay tuned. Yeah, that was Last One Standing off of Cosmogyral, and they did a show on them a couple months ago. After my debut of a show I do called Euphonic Parasology, and actually that tune was from their band at the time was Shovel and the Fury. It's really good, so I had to throw it in there for the heck of it. Just, hey, I like to support local bands and all that. If anyone that's unsigned, unsigned bands, doesn't matter what genre, send it to me if you can. I will give you both my email addresses, and it'll be great in other posts as well. So I'll be talking about that before the show ends. But, so it's one of those areas, I do love that style of music. It's very inspiring. All right, well, I'm going to continue on here. And this one came off of Counterpunch. Came out yesterday. Goes, sorry, Bernie, we need radical change. And this is by Paul Street. Let's find out what he has to say about this. And it goes here. One of the more darkly assuming narratives in current establishment Democratic Party positioning for the 2018 midterm elections and the 2020 presidential contest is the claim that Bernie Sanders' tendencies represents a radical socialist threat that will tip the races to the Republicans and Trump. Never mind that the progressive and mildly social democratic policies Sanders and his cadre of Democratic-backed Medicare for all, progressive taxation, free college tuition, a significant increase in a federal minimum wage, a re-legalization of union organizing, have long-standing majority of support from the U.S. populace. And to be very honest, it's Democratic socialism is nothing new under the sun. And I did narrate it on my past episode by Bob Livingston. So yeah, go to Bob Livingston's work. It's very good. I'll continue on here. Never mind that it's precisely the centrist, neoliberal nothingness of a dollar-drenched dumpster fire that is the current corporate Democratic Party, aptly described by Sheldon Wolin as the inauthentic opposition in the early 2008. It has delivered state and federal government over to the widely hated, radically regressive, and arch-reactionary, racist, sexist, white nationalists, and ego-fascist Republicans. Never mind that the Sanders goes out of his way again and again to proclaim that changes he advances are not radical ideas, but are instead moderate reforms. And never mind that Bernie continues to function as a electoralist to get out of the major party vote sheepdog for the aforementioned dumpster fire inauthentic opposition to dismal, denobilizing Dems. Don't be rude to white nationalists. Do what Alexandria did. A few weeks ago, Sanders said he did not support being rude to people when he asked about instances in which Trump administration officials were publicly harassed because of their vicious policy kidnapping migrant children at the southern border. I'm not a great fan of shouting down people or being rude to people, Sanders told MSNBC host Kristen Walker 2 weeks ago. I think Sanders' lecture, we have a situation in Congress that's way out of touch with where the American people are. People have the right to be angry when Congress gives tax breaks to billionaires and wants to cut nutrition programs for low-income pregnant women. You have the right to be angry, to take that out in a constructive way. I think people have the right to go into a restaurant and have dinner, Sanders elaborate. That's where we go. That's where we got to place our energy. I do know that people are angry. They are angry about these terribly inhumane immigration policies, which we all know has been going on for a very long time, even during the Obama administration. But I'll continue on here. They're angry about the fact that they can't afford prescription drugs. They're angry about tax breaks that goes to billionaires. The way to deal is that exactly what Alexandria did. Sanders was referring to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, a progressive Democrat who won a Democratic primary election against 10-term incumbent in New York Representative Joe Crowley. This isn't maybe 30% of the people actually voted there in that district. I'll go just continue on here. Organize at the grassroots level. Win the election and get involved in the political process, Sanders says. I'm not a big fan of venting at terrible public officials in public venues myself. Anything less than arresting them and dragging off to revolutionary people's tribunals looks weak and childish to me. Still, I found Sanders' comments disturbing. It was depressing and revealing that he folded in power and proto-fascistic white nationalist Trump administration operatives into broad and overall category of people. You know, just yesterday, folks, no different than anyone else trying to have a dinner out. If Bernie doesn't understand these particular people stand out for commonly a lot of humanity and agents as racist, evil, and they kinds of hard to take this call for civility and very seriously. People have the right to dine out. It blows me away that it would enter Sanders' mind to say that people have the right to go into a restaurant and have dinner when we are talking about children and families detained, caged, separated, and terrorized by U.S. border authorities. So people, highly class, and race-privileged Trump officials is that have a right to go out to dinner. Do they, Bernie? Well, senators, thousands of people who happen to be brown-skinned migrants fleeing U.S.-backed terror and stuck in a racist U.S. holding pens don't have the right to leave the oppressive facilities in which they are detained. Many of them have had their children stolen from them and sent to distant locations somewhere in the U.S. Who owed Bernie that racist and nativist white nationalists are people anyway? I'm reminded of the great Soviet sniper Lyudmila Palvichenko, who killed 309 German Nazis invading her country. When Eleanor Roosevelt observed that Palvichenko had killed hundreds of men, the sniper corrected to point out that she shot fascists, not men. Well, the thing about that, the whole thing is, you see what this article is really going to, is just categorizing people, and that's not really that good. But I'll continue on here. Keeping people off the street, herding them to the ballot box. Bernie's use of civility issued to a false dichotomy, either be constructively uncivil by shouting down and being rude to people, to vicious racists and ecocidal policymakers, that is, or two, be constructed by organizing at grassroots level, understood as getting involved in U.S. major party electoral politics and winning elections, doing what exactly Alexandria did. What have you haven't won a major party congressional primary election yet this year? You better get to work, my fellow American. That is what was not so independent senator from Vermont continuing to play his long-standing role of trying to sustain progressive, deadly, and dysfunctional attachment to the nation's narrow and strictly staggered election and candidate center politics. It was Bernie feeding what that great radical American historian Howard Zinn called the election madness that engulfs the entire society, including the left, once every 2 years, because we have been brought up to before that voting is crucial to determine our destiny, that the most important act as a citizen can engage is to go to the polls. The real critical thing, Zinn once sagely wrote, isn't who's sitting in the White House, but who is sitting in the streets, in the cafeterias, in the halls of government, in the factories, who is protesting, who is occupying offices and demonstrating. Those are the things that determine what happens. The only thing that's going to ever bring any meaningful change, Noam Chomsky, a Sanders backer to some degree, told Tesla English Abby Martin in early 2016, is ongoing dedicated popular movement that don't pay attention to the election circle. Bernie was and remains all about the master's election cycle, which is dedicated to the delusional and empirically false notion that U.S. citizens gets meaningful input into policy by spending 3 minutes in a voting booth once every 2 to 4 years, choosing from among a handful of candidates selected in advance for us, except in comparatively rare and exceptional cases by the nation's unelected and or interrelated dictatorship of money and empire. It is about keeping the people off the streets where they belong on a regular basis if they are serious about progressive change in this time of vicious, racist, classist, sexist, and ecocidal reaction. It's about selling citizens false hope and politicians. The snake oil promise that all of most of our energies should be poured into herding people to the polls to take a painfully brief and coldly time staggered moment, 3 minutes once every 4 years, to put a mark on the ballot for the right masses to normally rule over us. The real rulers are the corporate financial suites, not the elected offices. That's the basic sheepdog message. So I can't argue with that. That aspect I can't argue with. So it's like the whole thing. Like going to spinning our wheels, just vote, and that's it. But it goes a lot more than that, my friends. So I'm going to continue on here. No cartwheels. It's Democratic Socialists of America member Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez different from the general run of corporate major money politicals, including people like Crowley? Sure, absolutely. So is Sanders. No argument there. I lived in the New York 14th Congressional District and was registered there unlikely as a Democrat. New York does not have open primaries. I would certainly have taken 3 minutes to vote for Ocasio-Cortez in the primary. I will have done so to help bring down the corrupt and high-ranking corporate imperial Democrat Crowley and his Democratic machine backers, and two, to show support for Ocasio-Cortez's progressive social democratic domestic policy agenda, including Medicare for all, free college tuition, and the abolition of racist and immigration and ICE Customs Enforcement Agency. So what does that mean? You're going to have open borders? Or you're going to change the ICE program as a whole? So that's one of the areas you got to really look at. So sometimes some of it is a little bit dramatic, And don't get me wrong, I'm real critical of Homeland Security as well. So I could, and I know ICE is part under that same umbrella. I will continue on here. I would have been motivated also by Ocasio-Cortez's professed socialism and concern with class inequality, and by her history as someone with recent experience in the real working class job waiting tables and in social and protest movements, e.g. Standing Rock. Still, I did no cartwheels over her victory. I cannot follow Sanders in pointing to Alexandria. Sorry about that. As a whole. Wait, okay, hold on here. I still don't do cartwheels over victory. I cannot follow Sanders in pointing to Alexandria as a Holy Grail national and grassroots alternative to being rude to people. It is for 5 reasons. First, Ocasio-Cortez won with incredibly low turnout, 30%. Sometimes that falls quite short of a leftist landslide and reflects local peculiarities in the operation of the Democratic machine. 13%. I said it was 30. I was low, but 13. That's really damn low when you think about it, my friends. All right. Second, as a veteran left urban political strategist, activist, and commentator, Bruce Dixon, on a Black Agenda report, Joe Crowley pretty much gave up the seat. After 10 terms in Congress and with lots of corporate friends, Joe Crowley knows he can start at 7 figures, at least 6 to 12 times congressional salary, plus bonuses to lobbyists. That had to be powerful motivation not to campaign too damn hard in another circumstance. Third, Ocasio-Cortez's victory partly reflected a combined demographic, racial, ethno-cultural, and party anomaly. The overlong presence of a white Democratic machine politician atop recently racially, ethnically redistricted, and now a majority non-white and nearly majority Atlantic district where the Democratic Party had failed to cultivate a neoliberal candidate of color, the kind of state Latino or black political the nation's second corporate and imperial party has developed across urban minority majority congressional districts. As Danny Haiphong observed in the American Herald Tribune, New York's District 14 is one of the few urban minority congressional districts left where neoliberal black and brown politicians do not dominate the political landscape. It will be difficult to replicate Ocasio-Cortez's victory across the country because neoliberal black politicians in other districts are protected by the politics of representation. Fourth, as Dixon observed, while there are no institutions under U.S. law and custom that cannot hold leftist candidates and office holders accountable to left constituencies or organizations, there are a galaxy of institutional levers and pressures operating the Democratic Party aimed at flipping progressive elected officials rightward. As a congressperson, her victory in the general election is virtually guaranteed in the bright blue 14th district. The inspiring Ocasio-Cortez will face an enormous power disparity between local grassroots pressure from below and the nationally mobilized monopoly, empire, and party pressure exercised on her from the top down. The CIA Democrats. Fifth, Haiphong was right to know that the dismal Democrats are dead and buried as a means of progressive transformation. The Democratic Party is incapable of reform and serves not as its vehicle for change, but rather as a graveyard of social movements. It will be a graveyard of Ocasio-Cortez principle, too, if we do not build an independent institution and organizations capable of moving popular excitement over a campaign away from the Democratic Party corporate grave diggers. We need to build a political alternative to the Democrats because when it comes to the Democratic Party, there is nothing left to hold to account. Left-leaning youth and workers must break free from the ball and chain that keeps them shackled to the Democratic Party. Social movements are the only vehicle that can convince struggling people in the country that the Democratic Party is accountable to Wall Street and Wall Street only. Well, accountable also to relate an overlapping wealth and power structures in the Silicon Valley, Hollywood, and military-industrial complex. I've been listening to nonsense supposed chances for the progressive takeover and the reform of the Democratic Party since I was a grade schooler in the original Mayor Daley, Chicago. The closest that's ever come to really taking place was Harold Washington's Chicago Mayor Rally of 1983-1987, one of the city's just 4 years. With strict qualifications thoroughly transcended by the long-term neoliberal moralities of the right-wing corporate Democrat Richard Daley II and Rahm Emanuel. Democrats are running a large crop of former intelligence operatives and ex-military candidates this November, all strong advocates of an aggressively imperialist U.S. foreign policy dedicated to the full prosecution of the new Cold War with Russia. As the World Socialist website Patrick Martin explains, the anti-Russian campaign mounted by the Democrats is an aim at pushing the Trump administration to sharply escalate the war in Syria and adopt a more aggressive policy against Russia. At the same time, has been used as a justification for a massive coordinated campaign to censor the internet. The manipulation of search and news feed algorithms by Google and Facebook will be followed by the new efforts and the suppression of the left-wing anti-war and socialist publications. The campaign has also served the position as Democrats as the party stands up for the intelligence community in its conflict with the Trump White House. This is now being supplemented in advance of the November midterm elections. Buying influence of candidates for Democratic congressional nominations in competitive districts drawn heavily from the ranks of the CIA, the military, the National Security Council, and the State Department. The conduct of the DNC demonstrates the reactionary and bankrupt character of the claims by the liberal of the pseudo-left groups of all who maintain a complete silence on the isolation and persecution of Julian Assange. That the election of a Democratic-controlled Congress is a way to fight back against Trump and Republicans. The truth is that the working class confronts in these parties two implacable political enemies committed to war, austerity, and repression. With all due respect for the progressive and social democrats or democratic socialists reigning in the Democratic primaries this year, this broad imperialist CIA Democrats slate that Bernie Sanders will be asking citizens to mark the ballot en masse for in the fall. This is the Sanders playing his well-established role as a leading voter turnout sheepdog, not just for the nation's not so leftmost major party war, but also more broadly for the election madness then try to warn against us. No electoral shortcuts, the real issue to be faced. It is good that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez took down the lazy white corporate machine Democrat Joel Crowley, but her locally distinctive triumph is no compelling argument for the left progressives to center their activism around an election frenzy run that great coffin of class consciousness historian Alan Daly that is at the American ballot box wants to vote. Great, it takes 2 minutes. There are no shortcuts, electoral or otherwise, to the more serious and urgent politicians and difficult day-to-day nuts and bolts organizing work of building an actual American left, something that will maintain a healthy distance from sedative siren songs of the narrow and staggered major party electoral extravaganza that are sold us to us politics, only politics that matters. And there is no great virtue in selling progressives as not radicals. Sorry, but the diagnosis right now is dire. We need radically democratic change in place to racist imperialist classes and now fully ecocidal rule capital with people's power. The real issues to be faced as an actual democratic socialist and non-electoral social movement activist Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. wrote in his last published essay is a radical reconstruction of society itself. King's judgment was right on in 1968 when thousands of U.S. troops were briefly diverted from the American Empire mass murderous crucifixion of Southeast Asia. Chomsky's phase at the time to bloodily suppress black rebellions in U.S. ghettos is even more accurate 50 years later in the time and three absurdly wealthy Americans, Jim Bezos, Bill Gates, and Warren, my class, and winning this class war, Buffett, possesses them between them in the same word of the poorest of the U.S. populace, and when the growth and accumulation of addictive profit system is ever more obviously drive humanity over the ecological cliff. Well, I can't really make any arguments on this. This is an area I do disagree with some of the rhetoric, but the main purpose is things are coming out of the woodworks. All right? Even when I talk about some of my stuff about how government's a parasite society, and you have banksters, the central banks are robbing us blind with fiat money and all that. We got to think of ourselves as individuals. We got to have that attitude. You need us more, we need you. And everyone assumed that voting in the ballot box for 2 minutes is going to solve everything. Hell no. We all have obligations. Any questions? Read the Declaration of Independence. That's why we got the 10th Amendment. Things can be done. All you got to do is just do one thing at least. In a couple years, you'll accomplish something. You want to plant that seed, not no tree. That's the main objective. So you want radical change. I say go back to your U.S. Constitution. May not be perfect, but go over our Bill of Rights. Go over our Bill of Rights and focus on our state constitutions as well, and our local governments. You got to get them all. Then you can make impact. It doesn't happen overnight. Things do take time. But when you have people like Bernie Sanders who wants you to feel the hype, and you got Miss Cortez, 13% voter turnout. That's not impressive. So this is why free housing and all that, open borders is irrelevant. Like, I want free education, free college tuition. Shoot, go on the internet. The fiat money is a big problem. That's why I recommend everyone there. First things first, if you support workers' rights. I would encourage everyone to look at HR 5404. That was written by, I think it's Woody from West Virginia. Going back to having our dog go back to ghosting. It'd be a tradition, but that's the start. Then we could be more prosperous. Then things could go down a lot quicker. It may not be perfect, but a hell of a lot better than we have right now. That's was one area. Exercise our natural born rights, period. Jury nullification. You want to make changes? Don't be afraid to go to jury duty. If you believe if a legal law, or a law will poorly implemented, you can say not guilty. Jury nullification. Remember, the United States is a 3-vote system. Votes in the ballots, grand jury, and jury trial. Yes, 3-vote system in our United States Republic. Those are the areas that can make radical changes. So, my friends, we gotta start in our history if we want to make these changes, which is considered radical, which is going back how it was. It may not be perfect, but a hell of a lot better. We all gotta do it one step at a time. And treat everyone as individuals, not how they look like. And don't call someone a racist without any merit. If you have a discussion, you call yourself a racist, that means you lost. Hi, I'm a racist fool. You gotta stop doing that. Everything's getting watered down and plain ludicrous. It's getting really pathetic. And I am not a big Bernie Sanders lover. Here's some of his speeches. Everyone's going up in arms, but they don't know the fine print. Like I said, study your history, because the past is today's greatest teacher. And that is it. I thank everyone for listening, but feel free to download and share through social media networks. If you have any questions, comments, or you send something that's interesting you want to check out, whatever you do, please address your correspondences with decorum. And you can hit me on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Tumblr, YouTube, Freedoms Network. They do need money, so please support them. Minds.com, FutureNet.club, Patreon.com/LookYouLuck3, 3 eyes. If you want to be a donor, it'd be awesome. Give me a Gab, yours.org, oneway.com, or buddylist.co. In addition, you can email me at LookYouLuck3@gmail.com, or to you cryptic ones, especially with the Proton Mail account, LookYouLuck03@protonmail.com. Ooh, all right, my friends. Once again, thank you for your time. But always remember that the demoniac resistance is healthy for the soul. It can liberate humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Keep on spreading love, and may your guardian spirits be with you.